Well, the hot stove is starting to heat up with some moves that were made already this weekend. We have more on everything and how it impacts the Arizona Diamondbacks, as well as potential trade target for the Dbacks and Nolan Arenado. All this in 30 seconds. Don't you go anywhere. Welcome in to another edition of the PHNX Dbacks podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Joc Pederson, occasionally known as your mayor of the holiday season. This man next to me deserves no vice mayor title for that because he still has 30 more shopping days until he's going to get his stuff done. It's the one and only Thunderstick Jesse Friedman. And of course, we got our guy, large intimate Kev Thomas on the ones and twos today. Thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate you guys. And of course, it's Monday, and you know what we do on Monday. So we'll get around to your Mailbag Monday questions shortly. But we do have some things to update you on over the weekend because, like I said, that stove is heating up, and we already have some moves being made. We already know about the Dodgers going after Blake Snell, but that wasn't their only move. They went ahead and locked up Tommy Edman for the foreseeable future, which is, I guess, a more admirable move than going out there and just acquiring one free agent after the next, Jesse.
Well, you just knew, Derek, that the Dodgers weren't going to let Black Friday weekend go
without a deal,
without dishing out some more deferrals, right? Like there's no way they were going to let that happen.
They're deferring all of their Christmas present budget money. That's for sure. They're going to push that off until 2036. But yeah, Tommy Edman. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, Tommy Edman, a 5-year, $74 million contract extension. Edman was already under club control for one more season. So this, of course, makes it 5 seasons. There's also a club option for a 6th season, which I believe would be 2030. So the Dodgers seem to really like Tommy Edman, Derek, and it's understandable that they like Tommy Edman because this guy had an 862 OPS for them throughout the postseason.
He was really good.
Hit over 300, was hitting cleanup for the Dodgers in some of their playoff games against lefties. So he was really, really good for them down the stretch, and he is going to sort of be their next Chris Taylor, I guess. Chris Taylor, of course, is still in the organization. Maybe that's disrespectful for me to say, but a guy who can play just about everywhere, can play shortstop, can play center field, and can hit a little bit too, especially against left-handed pitching.
He slashed 328, 354, 508 with 2 dingers and 13 RBI in 16 games in the playoffs for the Dodgers. He's one of those guys that when you watched the Dodgers win in the playoffs, he was a big reason why. And kind of, I guess, in a comical fashion, he meant more to the team at times than some of their, big superstars, right? And that's why the Dodgers locked him up. I know we're probably going to go ahead and have maybe 75 more comments from Dodgers fans saying that we're stooges and that we wouldn't we would take this deal or do this type of stuff, or our franchise should do this type of stuff, and they can if they want to. And that is one thing they're 100% right about. The stooge part, maybe not so much. But I will say that, like, as much as we want to call them the Los Angeles deferrals going forward and all of that kind of stuff, they are mortgaging their future, essentially, financially, at least, not with, their assets as young players and such, but they are putting off some of this debt to the future in ways they feel they are able to manage. It might end up being a giant catastrophe for this franchise come 10 years from now or beyond. I don't really know how it's going to impact them in the future, because we have seen franchises kind of get to a point where they did put themselves in quite a financial bind based on deferring this type of money that they're doing, what they're doing. But I will also say, yes, the Diamondbacks could do this same stuff. So I'm not going to ever say that the Dodgers are doing anything, like that's not something the other 29 teams in baseball could do. So it is what it is. Maybe more teams should do it. Maybe more teams shouldn't do it. I don't know. I think that the Dodgers are kind of a different breed, like the Yankees, where their financial future is fairly secure and they don't have to worry really about, that debt that they're putting themselves in.
My favorite thing about Tommy Edman is that during the regular season, which granted it was not all that many at bats, he was hurt for most of the year and then played for the Dodgers after being traded over there at the trade deadline. A 412 batting average against lefties compared to a 181 batting average against righties. He's a switch hitter, but as I often point out about switch hitters, just because you can bat both right-handed and left-handed doesn't mean that you're good at both of them.
It's very true.
So Tommy Edman is one of those guys who, as I alluded to earlier, definitely a better hitter against lefties. There's a reason the Dodgers were willing to use him in the cleanup spot in some of those postseason games, as I mentioned earlier. But yeah, a 1299 OPS against lefties, a 523 OPS against righties. I imagine in the long term, we're going to see those numbers balance out at least a little bit. But Tommy Edman is, he can do it all. He can play some pretty good defense. He can run the bases as well. He had 6 stolen bases in, about a third of a season worth of games down the stretch. So he is, it just fits the Dodgers in basically every way I could imagine.
Well, Kevin put it up on the screen, and I should have been talking about this since the beginning, but we are having a deal of our own that is much better than the Tommy Edman deal, especially with the deferred payments. And that is, you can become a diehard right now for $36. That is the cost of a T-shirt, basically, on our shop, right?
It's outrageous.
I mean, it's ridiculous how low this cost or this price is, only for 36 hours. So if you've ever been curious, if you've ever wanted to buy a piece of our merchandise and thought maybe you'd like to become a diehard, now is the time to do so, Kevin.
And if you want some of our beautiful merchandise, we got a sale on that too.
Exactly. And then you become a diehard, you get our 30% off the entire store sale over at store.allcitynetwork.com. And then you get your own diehard discount on top of that, right? So again, get all of your shopping done right now. And it is the absolute best time to do so, the lowest price. And most importantly, we just want to invite as many new people who have ever thought about becoming a diehard, ever thought about joining the PHNX family in to try it out. And hopefully you guys stick around and enjoy the content, especially what this guy does, because it does not get enough love behind a paywall. I will say that. And I know that sometimes people have an issue with that, but I'll tell you, we are trying to do special content just for you, our diehards. So we hope you guys that are already members are enjoying it. We hope that you guys joining us for the first time will enjoy it too. Especially, we don't really leave a paper trail for Dbacks After Dark, but that's something that you should get down on in the Discord, along with the wonderful, the wonderful environment that you guys have created, the rest of our diehards. I mean, we have a special community here, and we'd love it for you guys to join us and become a part of it. And Michael Brokicki is not wrong. He says the Dbacks 10D Gang Discord alone makes it worth it, especially for $36. So do that. Get down on it now. We implore you. Of course, we do have other moves that have been made, and it's interesting, Jesse, because these other moves may impact, I guess, what the Diamondbacks might be able to get in return for Jordan Montgomery. A few comparable players that have now changed teams. We have 33-year-old left-handed pitcher Matthew Boyd signed a 2-year deal worth $29 million with the Chicago Cubs. And then we have Frankie Montas signing a 2-year deal, $34 million with the Mets.
I think I'm more surprised by the Montas deal of the two. Matthew Boyd, that is a decent amount of money. I mean, Matthew Boyd is 33 years old, and he just came back from Tommy John surgery, but he also had a 2.72 ERA in 8 starts down the stretch with the Guardians, and then in the postseason gave up 1 earned run in 13 2/3 innings, a 0.77 ERA. You put up those kind of numbers in the postseason, I think you're gonna get paid, especially now that we feel good about Boyd's health moving forward. That one wasn't so surprising to me, but Montas getting 2 years and $34 million after having, frankly, a pretty mediocre season, Derek, a 4.84 ERA in 30 starts. It continues to be amazing to me how much money you can make as a completely mediocre, even below average major league starting pitcher. If you can go out there and give a team 150 innings, which is what Montas did this past season, and just sort of keep your team in some games, then there you go. You sign a $34 million contract. It's pretty incredible.
Our friend Rickety Bridge, who once again is new to baseball, asks, yeah, isn't his ERA bad? Yes. Yes, it is. It's not as bad as Jordan Montgomery's one was last year. However, it brings me back to the question I continue to ask. Can I interest you in one used Jordan Montgomery? Because with these two guys signing for this amount, it almost feels like the $22.5 million that Montgomery is going to make in 2025 doesn't seem like nearly as much of a financial burden for other teams as the Diamondbacks might view it. In the case of the Mets, they are betting on Frankie Montas being better than he was last year, which he has been in the past. And there are other teams that might be willing to take that same gamble on Jordan Montgomery. When you see these two guys sign for the amount that they signed for, it's at least encouraging, right, Jesse, that if the Diamondbacks do want to deal Montgomery, that they're not going to exactly get fleeced and have to essentially give him up for nothing and send money with him.
Yeah, at the very least, this is not bad news for the Diamondbacks. I think it can only be a good thing for them. Whether it moves the needle a ton, whether you're getting you're getting another team to pick up 14 or 15 million of Montgomery's contract instead of 10 or 11, as we've sort of suspected. I'm not sure. I still think that Boyd and Montas are pretty different situations from Montgomery. Boyd has had some pretty serious durability issues in recent years, but again, you show that kind of promise after coming back from Tommy John surgery, and especially in the postseason. It's just such a different situation than the year that Montgomery is coming off right now. And then Montas, I will say about him, even though the numbers aren't going to blow you away, this is a guy who throws a four-seamer at above 95 miles an hour. And that is not the pitcher that Montgomery is at this stage, right? If you have that velo, I think you're a more attractive target for teams, even if your ERA numbers are not exactly that impressive. Montgomery, of course, part of his story this past season was not just that his surface level numbers were poor, it was also that his velocity took a step back. Can Jordan Montgomery be an effective pitcher throwing a 91.5 mile an hour sinker instead of around 93.5, which is where it was the year prior? I think that's a pretty significant difference between Montas and Montgomery.
A couple of things there in the chat. Bermudan Baseball is trying to make some trades on behalf of the Astros. They say, hey, trade him to the Astros. We'll give you Ryan Presley. Throw in Jake McCarthy. We'll give you our Jake. Throw in another prospect. LOL, done and done. We can talk at least. I'm just saying the conversation could be open there between us. Riley Dunn doesn't want any part of Ryan Presley, and I don't blame him. But hey,
Ryan Presley, I mean, yeah, he is a name that I had in my list of 10 potential relief pitcher targets that I released recently. I think he was one of the less compelling names on the list, frankly, because Ryan Presley is very clearly moving in the wrong direction. I'm not sure he's really a true back-end reliever at this stage, but yeah, he's probably making more money than he's worth. Jordan Montgomery certainly slated to make more money than he is worth on paper going into next year. Maybe there's a way that something could work along those lines.
Did Erica Day pop in here and give us a good morning? Is that right, Kev? We got a good morning, ma'am. It is 1:13 p.m. What do you mean good morning? And also, hey, Erica, how's it going? I just want to show you my shirt, which you can get over on the shop, by the way.
That was mean and unnecessary.
Yeah, no, I know you would feel that way. But,
not only is the Arizona branded Bills hat mysteriously missing, it seems like it's ran away. Derek's over here just flexing all the merch. It's just so tough. Derek could have easily worn a Dbacks PHNX shirt.
Yeah.
Probably should have worn a Dbacks PHNX shirt.
Could have.
But he chose to antagonize me and Damon.
Shoes, son. I needed him to match these shoes.
You're a bad and disgusting guy, Derek.
It was just a coincidence, all right?
Yeah.
How dare you, Kevin, make the assumption that
what color are you wearing underneath your that looks like a very maroon and
I happen to be wearing kind of a maroon shirt, but that was just, I don't think about what I wear in the morning.
I also didn't plan this at all. But anyway, speaking of things that are in the plans, Ken Rosenthal released a story this morning on maybe where Joc Pederson might be ending up. And we do know that the Diamondbacks still have interest in Joc Pederson, according to this report, Jesse. I mean, and that's I don't know. I still think about that Instagram post with the two little devil faces. I don't know what it means, but I still feel like it means something significant.
Yeah, this was from a story that Ken Rosenthal released this morning. He wrote that several clubs looking for a left-handed hitting DH are intrigued by Joc Pederson. Certainly no surprises there, but he did also say that the Diamondbacks want Pederson back. Also not hugely surprising.
No.
Why wouldn't you want Joc Pederson back after the season that he just had? But I continue to view Joc Pederson more so than Christian Walker at this point as a fairly realistic target for the Diamondbacks. As we've said a bunch of times, he is a very limited player. He didn't play a single inning in the field in 2024. He's a platoon guy. You don't really want him facing lefties as much as you can avoid it. And because of that, even though he put up such big numbers in 2024, I still think there's a route to bring him back on a deal that isn't so much more than he made in 2024. Certainly a raise, but something in the 2-year, $30 million range, something along those lines, I think could be reasonable for both sides.
Well, with the way that he added to the offense, like you said, I don't see a reason why the Diamondbacks wouldn't be interested. The article mentions that the Rays and Rangers are other possible suitors. And Joc, if you're listening to me, probably at a Whataburger somewhere right now filming an amazing Instagram video, you don't want to go to Tampa. You know that.
Ken wrote about that in the article.
That's a disaster.
He basically said that any free agent who has options, like, unless the Rays are your only offer on the table, if you have the ability to go somewhere else, you're probably going somewhere else. Joc also has a history of preferring the West Coast. I think there's on some level, I know he signed with the Cubs as well. But Ken mentioned that he would probably prefer to sign west of the Mississippi, which of course the Diamondbacks check that box. The Texas Rangers also check that box. So
and the Texas Rangers also are in a state with lots of Whataburgers, Jesse. So that does not bode well for us and his relationship with that company. But anyway,
is that a thing like on his Instagram?
Oh, it's a thing and it's amazing.
Okay.
Joc is the best fast food salesman on the planet. You got to go check it out. No free ads. So Max is already going to nail me for what I just did. But speaking of ads, we got some ads to discuss. Of course, some of our partners to discuss. I do want to thank you guys so much for being diehards. And again, just implore you that if you are not a diehard yet, make sure you check out that sale. It's going on for just 36 hours only. $36, the cheapest price we've ever offered our diehard membership for. You still get all the wonderful benefits. And again, if you've ever wanted one of our shirts and then just also wanted a membership, now is the time, because basically it's down to the cost of a shirt. So make sure to go check that out right now and join us, become part of the family. On the other side of this break, we're going to talk about another trade target for the Arizona Diamondbacks, one that might make sense and might not make a whole lot of sense. We're going to put some thought into this one for you guys. We also have answers to your Mailbag Monday questions, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Of course, Circle K is America's thirst stop, and right now is a great time. It's a great time to go get yourself a deal over at Circle K. I know it's Cyber Monday. I know Black Friday just ended. I know all this stuff is going on. Circle K has you covered with deals every single day, and all you got to do is join the Inner Circle membership program for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. But when you do, you'll save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. Boom, there's one. You also get 5 free Polar Pops free on your membership. There's another one. Then you also have all sorts of wonderful benefits inside of the app, including free snacks, free items all the time, buy one get one free, all sorts of wonderful offers in the Inner Circle app. So join the Inner Circle today, and of course, get yourself something to drink at America's thirst stop. Also, Gila River Resorts and Casinos is a great place to go this winter. Of course, if you have friends and family coming into town, it's a great place for you guys to go and have a wonderful night out on the town with their 4,500 slots and live table games at their 4 valuable locations. You can experience the best that the Valley has to offer. They offer an unprecedented level of entertainment and excitement you just won't find anywhere else. You can also find us there with our first edition of PHNX Live, where we will be hanging out with Archie Bradley doing this show and answering questions from you, our audience. It's basically Mailbag Monday with Archie and an Ask Archie and all that, but it's live and it's at Wild Horse Pass. So make sure to join us for that. If you are a diehard already, it's absolutely free. If you're not one, $5. That's all it costs. But again, go get that Die Hard membership. It's the best way for you to get in. You get in for free. Another benefit to being a Die Hard. Of course, you can go check out Gila River Resorts and Casinos anytime and have a wonderful night out. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathila.com for more details. All right, Jesse. Well, we have been talking about trade targets for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and we know that there have been some that made sense, some that were maybe a little bit more of a pipe dream. Of course, we also know that based on information, the St. Louis Cardinals are in the market to be trading Nolan Arenado, at least hearing out offers on the perennial all-star. And we just wanted to take a look and see if he would fit the Arizona Diamondbacks' needs.
Yeah, Nolan Arenado, a big part of this story is that Arenado is willing to shift over to first base in order to make a potential deal happen. He does have a full no trade clause, so any deal involving him is he's going to have to be on board, right? I personally think it's sort of outrageous that a team would even consider trading for Arenado just to move him to first base at this stage in his career. The reason that you want Nolan Arenado on your team is because he's still a pretty freaking good third baseman, as he has been for years. I know our buddy Foolish Baseball over on Twitter likened this to Austin Hedges being willing to DH. Austin Hedges, for those who may not know, is a defense first catcher who is generally about the worst hitter in the sport year after year. Austin Hedges is willing to DH, right? Like if you want him to. Nolan Arenado is willing to play first base. But yeah, that doesn't really make any sense at all. But of course, the Diamondbacks are in need of a first baseman in the long term, and even at third base, they have some question marks in the long term as well, given that Gino Suarez is just under club control for one more season. So we figured we'd at least entertain the idea and sort of see where this goes.
Well, and one of our Mailbag Monday questions kind of brought this up, and we didn't get a chance to answer that one when we get to our Mailbag Monday. But what about Lourdes potentially at first base, or maybe even Gino over there at first base, and less, Nolan over at third more, just maybe platooning guys around, maybe Arenado at DH. I mean, like you said, his defense is really the reason why you pick him up, right?
Yeah. I just don't understand why any team would want any part of Nolan Arenado, frankly, at this stage in his career, if you're not having him play third base, where he does still bring a significant amount of value. Would it make sense for the Diamondbacks to move Gino over to first just for the 2025 season in order to make that work? I guess that makes more sense than the alternative, like just having Arenado play first base. I'm not super convinced that either of those make sense, frankly. But let's look at Arenado's numbers for the 2024 season, just so we have a sense of what we're looking at here.
Well, see, and this isn't terrible. I mean, he's just not the power hitter he was, right?
Right. 272 average, 325 on base, 394 slugging percentage, 16 homers, 71 RBI, 3.1 wins above replacement. As you pointed out, like, a 272 average for Arenado is fine, right? A 325 on base is fine. He's never been a guy who draws a ton of walks, but a 394 slugging percentage, like that is pretty dang low for a guy who's been a pretty well-respected power hitter for a number of years.
So I guess, is there any interest on the Diamondback side in Arenado? Has there been any reports connecting him to the Dbacks? Because for the most part, this doesn't really make sense. However, we do know, according to Katie Wu of The Athletic, that there's a growing sense Arenado will be traded.
Right.
Obviously, we also know that, the Diamondbacks are willing to do what they can to bring on what they feel is the best players. And this would have to kind of be a situation where the trade cost was right for them in order to pick up Nolan.
The rumors are definitely more on the Cardinals side than on the Diamondbacks side. There have been no rumors of the Diamondbacks being interested that I'm aware of. But yeah, Katie Wu of The Athletic, as you discussed earlier, did say that the Cardinals are open to a trade, and that Arenado himself very much wants to be. He wants to play for a contender. He wants to play in October, an opportunity he hasn't gotten a whole lot in his career. Sort of what happens when you come up with the Colorado Rockies. It's you can understand why Arenado would be willing to waive his no trade clause in a potential deal. But based on what Katie has reported, the Cardinals are not like they're not just trying to get off this contract. If they trade Arenado, they want to get some real prospect capital back. And looking at this contract, I have a bit of a hard time imagining how that will happen.
Yeah, they owe him a lot of money, Jesse. He's owed $32 million in 2025, $27 million in 2026, and then $15 million in 2027. $74 million total over the next 3 seasons. Yes, the Diamondbacks want to get into a bit of a longer term, I guess, answer for first base over there, but this definitely doesn't seem like it's it because of the financial, I guess, the financial impact that he would have.
I think the Rockies are paying $5 million of his 2025 salary, so I guess that brings the 32 down to a 27, which still doesn't feel great, right? For a guy who's slugged 394 in 2024 and has regressed quite a bit offensively. So yeah, I think
then the Rockies had deferrals in there, Jesse.
They do.
They had deferrals. Yes. The Los Angeles Dodgers aren't the only one that can defer a contract.
There are, apparently this deal includes deferrals through 2041. So yes, there are heavy deferrals in here as well, which might make this contract a little bit easier to stomach. But still, it's $32 million in 2025. It's $27 million in 2026, $15 million in 2027. So that's $74 million over 3 seasons. Like, what does Arenado get on the open market right now? Probably a 3-year deal would be my guess. He's entering his age 34 season, basically the same age as Christian Walker, also entering his age 34 season. So yeah, he's maybe worth like 3 years and $50 million, something like that. So if you were able to get the Cardinals to chip in some money in order to get the 3 and 74 down to like a 3 and 50, maybe you're paying $17 million in 2025 and $17 million in 2026 instead of the 32 and the 27. Then it starts to make at least sense financially. Like you feel like the amount of money he'd be paid or you'd be paying him would be roughly congruent with the value that he brings at this stage in his career. But yeah, I mean, as people are talking about in the chat, like if you're going to trade for an asset like Nolan Arenado,
I want to smash my computer.
You might as well just give that money
give it
to Christian Walker.
The best replacement for Christian Walker is Christian Walker. It's probably the 50th time I've said that on this show, but it's true, And again, you're doing all of this stuff essentially to move, Arenado around. I think Elise, known baseball GM, said it in the chat. There's no way that the Cardinals won't have to eat a significant portion of that to get out of that contract. I don't believe that they're not. I think they're lying when they say they're trying to get out of his contract due to like the financial obligations. I don't believe that he is worth nearly that amount of money. You talk about a bad contract for the Jordan Montgomery deal. Well, it's still a bad contract. That doesn't change anything. But this is also a bad contract, and it's for a guy that really is. Again, you're probably on the other side of the peak of your career at this point. There's not a great chance that those numbers are going to greatly improve about what they were last year or this year. So I don't know. I don't doubt that they're not just trying to say that like we like him, we still want him, we just want to make sure we get something back for him.
Right. Yeah, and if we look at Arenado's Baseball Savant page from 2024, you can kind of see very clearly here the regression that has happened offensively, right? If
it looks like Justin Turner's, doesn't it? I mean, I'm not trying to be insulting about that, but it's
it's a similar profile. Justin Turner definitely walks more, which I guess is kind of a knock against. You can make a case that Justin Turner is a offense wise is a player you feel better about going into 2025 than Arenado. But yeah, there's a lot of blue there. Like Arenado just isn't really hitting for power anymore. He doesn't strike out much, but when he puts the ball in play, he's just not making really much hard contact at all at this stage in his career. So yeah, like if the Diamondbacks had a complete hole at third base, then maybe you could go down this road because Arenado is still such a great defensive third baseman. He was at 6 defensive runs saved, 9 outs above average in 2024. Really strong numbers there. So maybe if the Dbacks had a complete hole at third, you could sort of talk yourself into this. Maybe you try to trade the Cardinals Jordan Montgomery as part of this in order to get off his contract, and you're sort of exchanging bad deals there. Still maybe getting the Cardinals to eat some of the money in 2026 and 2027. But yeah, the reality is the Diamondbacks decided to pick up Gino Suarez's club option for 2025, and they don't really need a third baseman. And having Nolan Arenado play first base makes again about as much sense as having Austin Hedges DH. It would rob Arenado of the value that he is still able to provide at this stage in his career.
We got BComC clearly back in the chat, and I am so excited to see you. Jesse, you want to read this one? No,
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
You don't.
No,
I'll go ahead and take this one. BComC clearly says Juan Soto, he got the best cheeks back there. I think I had to say cheeks because he capitalized it that way. I can't verify if he does have the best cheeks back there, but I'll take your word for it on that one. But we do. This is just the beginning. We got a bunch of questions in the mailbag to get to, and we are going to discuss all of them. And we promise we're not going to do any more trades like this that don't make any sense, despite the fact that we have heard a lot of people talking about. I think
it was worth the discussion just to explain why it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
With a lot of these other trade targets, we've been making the case for why they could make sense. Right. Arenado is a name that is going to be floating out there probably the entire offseason until he does get traded, if it happens. And we here at PHNX not really seeing the vision with this one.
You're right though, because a name like this does come up, a rumor like this comes up, and then people want to know. The inclination sometimes, especially with sports, is that you kind of want a guy like that on your team because you remember how good they were, or you remember a time when they were one of the best in the league.
And he could bounce back. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe Arenado finds a way to, I think Steamer has him projected for 23 homers in 2025.
Sure.
It sees him bouncing back a little bit. But 3 years at this dollar value at his age, given that the team doesn't really have a clear need at third base, it's more at first base right now. The pieces just don't fit together for me.
Yeah. And again, despite what Tim says, sorry, Tim, I don't mean to argue with you, but the best replacement for Christian Walker, still Christian Walker. On the other side of this break, we're going to answer a bunch of your Mailbag Monday questions. We will try to get to as many of them as possible, so don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back. Of course, big shout out to Branded Bills. Branded Bills has a partnership with both ASU and the losing school in the Territorial Cup. And of course, you can get wonderful hats from our friends at Branded Bills for both of those schools, as well as right now, you can get some PHNX hats from Branded Bills. I think those are over on our website, but still, they're amazing. And of course, they're a collaboration between us and the fine folks at Branded Bills. So make sure to check that out. If you want some amazing headwear just like that, you can look to Branded Bills to get you covered with the best custom headwear. Start your order and their dedicated team will create the exact custom apparel you need. Of course, they are a local company from right here in Mesa, Arizona, and they have some wonderful holiday hats as well as some Arizona hats that I'm a big fan of as well. So head to brandedbills.com and use code PHNX for 20% off your first order. And I'm sure if you hurry right now, they're having a Cyber Monday deal as well. So get down on that, save yourself some money, and get yourself a PHNX Phoenix hat. That's fun. Also, of course, speaking of money, Desert Financial Credit Union will help you and your family save more of your money. They'll also help you reach your financial goals. They have been here in the Valley for more than 84 years, and they've been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that help make your life better. They got me started on my home ownership journey, and they can get you started as well. Look to Desert Financial for checking and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. When you open a free checking account online, you can get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200 today. And of course, I know today is a day where you're spending probably more of your money than you're saving it. But again, make sure to go over to our friends at Desert Financial and have them help you out post holiday season, save some money. Well, again, it's that time of the year, and we know that right here on the PHNX Dbacks podcast that every year is our year. Every month is what? month of the holidays, right? Every month is a holiday around here. Every week, of course, is Shark Week. Every single day on this podcast is Cyber Monday. And of course, on Monday, well, I guess not, they can't all be Cyber Mondays because then they'd all be Mailbag Mondays, and that kind of doesn't make sense. But of course, on Mondays, you know what we do. We go to the mailbag. Kev, let's go.
My mailbox, always something interesting in my mailbox. I try to get to everything in my mailbox, and then once in a while there's a letter that makes me go wow.
But you know what it is. You hear that song. It's that time. What do we got, Kev? What do we got in the mailbag today?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened there, but mailbag number 1.
I blame the producer.
I also blame the producer, but this time,
for sure.
you know, sometimes it doesn't fall on my back, you know, a la Brent Brennan, blame injuries.
Oh, God. Here
apologies on last week's question about who's bringing what to Thanksgiving, Jesse.
That's not your fault. Don't blame it. No, that's Jesse's thing.
Yeah.
Have we heard anything from Drew Jones on what he's doing to work on his swing? That has always been far and away his biggest knock against him.
You want to kick this off? Have you heard anything?
Sure. Yeah, I talked with Diamondbacks, former Diamondbacks farm director Sean Larkin about
Current
Drew
third base
Jones
coach.
In September toward the end of the season, and it was actually for a story I was doing about 3 players who have stuck out in the Diamondbacks farm system during the 2024 season, and Larkin did mention Drew Jones, who did not necessarily put up big time numbers in 2024. He spent the entire season down in Visalia. Still has yet to really move up the minor league ranks. But Sean had some really positive things to say about Drew's work ethic and just how much he has matured in the past year as a person, as a player. He also did say that some of those mechanical issues that Travis is talking about have improved immensely. Based on what I've seen from the video, I'd be lying if I said I've seen things look drastically different. It still seems like there are pretty big questions with Drew and his tendency to bail out of the strike zone, especially on pitches that are inside. It sort of limits what I think could be pretty monstrous power to just being all to the opposite field. We have not really seen Drew pull the ball in the air to the left side much at all so far in his young professional career. So he's young enough that he's not someone that you're giving up on in any sense at this stage in his career. But I do think that those concerns still exist for sure. As for what he is doing this offseason, that I don't have an answer on. I'm not sure exactly what his process is looking like, but I'm sure when spring training rolls around and we get a chance to see him out at Salt River Fields, we'll maybe catch up with him and see what he has to say.
How much of his timeline is impacted by being compared to Jackson Holiday?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's more outside noise. I don't think the Diamondbacks are too concerned about that internally.
Sure.
But it is, it's going to be running through people's minds for probably a long time. I mean, Drew Jones and Jackson Holiday are just kind of natural players to compare. They were taken one right after another in the draft, both very highly regarded. A lot of people thought that Drew Jones would be picked before Jackson Holiday. Obviously, that's not the way that things turned out. But it'll be interesting to see how Drew's career unfolds. I still think there's a world where this guy's going to play an elite center field, a really exciting center field, pretty much regardless of the rest of his game. But he has to get to a point where his bat is viable in the majors. And I still think he has quite a ways to go in that regard.
All right. What do we got for our next question, Kev?
Next question comes from Michael Rokicki, who wants to know, do you think that having the draft pick attached to him hurts the market for Walker, single, double, triple, Walker?
Nailed it. He nailed it on the singing on that. I don't think so. It doesn't impact the team that acquires him. It just gives the Diamondbacks an additional pick.
No, it does. It does impact the team that acquires him as well. It's not a 1-for-1. I think the Diamondbacks are as long as he signs for $50 million or more, which is our expectation, the Diamondbacks are going to get a really nice draft pick in exchange for him. If he goes elsewhere, I think it would land around 27, something in that range, 27th overall. It's a pretty valuable pick.
Right.
The pick that the team would have to forfeit is not is not necessarily in that same range.
Right.
I think it depends on a variety of factors. But whatever team signs him would have to forfeit a draft pick,
Right.
For sure. It's just a matter of exactly where that draft pick.
My understanding was that it was a late round draft pick, but okay, that's. I mean, yeah, I guess for the overall thing here is that you do have to give up a draft pick, and for the most part, we've seen some really good players come from all over the place in a Major League Baseball draft. I mean, you can think about Paul Goldschmidt, for instance, and how late he was drafted. So it's not necessarily the best thing to give up a draft pick, and we know that again, they can't trade draft picks in Major League Baseball, right? So
yeah, you can trade the competitive balance pick, but you can't trade any other pick.
Right. So I mean, this is
a ton of those
acquiring more picks. Obviously, that's the only thing here going for the Diamondbacks not bringing back Christian Walker. To be honest, is it does end up becoming a very valuable trade or a very valuable draft pick that the Diamondbacks might want. I mean, that might just be the thing where if they can bring in a comparable first baseman, it just benefits them. It far benefits the Diamondbacks more than it impacts the team that's acquiring Walker, though. And I don't think that that's going to be something that any of the teams that are acquiring him are going to be really worried about losing in order to get Christian Walker.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the team. I don't know off the top of my head exactly all of the rules for where that pick lands. I think it can be anywhere from like a second round pick to a fifth round pick that a team would forfeit. Don't quote me on that. I'd have to double check that. But I do think it's a factor for the Diamondbacks as well, in that if they don't re-sign Christian Walker, then they get this really nice draft pick. So there's kind of an opportunity cost to bringing him back and then not getting that pick as a result of that. So I do think it impacts the Walker market for them and for other teams, depending on which team it is. I do think teams, they definitely value their draft picks. And if you have to forfeit a second rounder to sign Christian Walker, I do think, he's not a Juan Soto level free agent. Like in those situations, forfeiting a draft pick is like,
it's a no-brainer.
Who cares? I mean, we're getting like the best player in the world, right? Christian Walker is not on that level. He's still a very good player, but I do think that it will have some level on his market. Hard to say exactly what, though.
I just don't know if the teams that we've heard that are interested in Christian Walker care very much about that, because these are teams that are all competing now. And again, that's kind of more of their focus, especially to bring in the best defensive first baseman. I hate, the more that I think about it, the more it makes sense for the Diamondbacks to let Christian Walker go to another team in this deal, considering the fact that we have talked about a few pretty good replacements, not Nolan Arenado, but some other guys that would be a really good replacement for Christian Walker over there, cost less than him, and honestly put up some pretty comparable numbers in 2024. So I don't know. I still think in this case, it's not impacting any team's decision to go after Christian Walker, but I mean, it could. There might be teams out there that don't want to lose any draft picks at all, and it's too valuable to them. I feel like the Diamondbacks would be one of those teams. The Diamondbacks draft picks are too valuable overall to this organization for them to lose one to go after a free agent.
Yeah, it's definitely a factor for the Diamondbacks as they think about what free agents they might be interested in. Because again, if you're not playing, if you're not playing at the top of the pool with free agency, then it's like, do I really want to lose a draft pick to sign this like kind of mid-tier player? I did find over on MLB.com, it does give some clarity on the competitive balance taxpayers. It says a team that exceeded the CBT threshold in the preceding season will lose its second and fifth highest selections in the following year's draft. As well as $1 million from its international bonus pool for the upcoming signing period. If such a team signs multiple qualifying offer free agents, it will forfeit its third and sixth highest picks as well.
Would the Yankees fall into that category?
Yes, I think the Yankees would fall into that. All of those, top spending teams that exceeded the competitive balance tax threshold from this past season. That's, second and fifth highest selections plus $1 million in international bonus pool money. Like, yeah, I think that has an effect for sure.
I'm curious as to what picks the Yankees have, but we wouldn't know yet, right? So overall, it's going to be interesting to see what what happens with that, and especially a team like the Yankees with that much money that they were already committed to.
You're right, with like a team with the Yankees after getting to the World Series, that's not going to be front of mind for them right
Not
now,
at all.
right? They're
Not
probably okay forfeiting a draft pick or two if it means, having a better first baseman than Anthony Rizzo in 2025, right?
I mean, they don't have to go after Christian Walker to improve their first base situation. They could go after much smaller fish.
That's true.
We'll see what happens. All right, what else we got, Kev?
All right, question number 3 comes from Jeff.
Oh my God, that's so small.
I know. That's why I'm reading it, Derek. Don't worry your little eyes over there, Derek. Jeff from our Discord wants to know, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. has played 108 innings at first base. What are your guys' thoughts on moving him to first to backfill Walker and potentially keep his bat healthy and in the lineup more? Then you may be able to pursue an outfield bat to backfill left field or rock the no-fly zone outfield.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's going to be there's combinations, I think, on this team that could fill the role over there at first base, and I think Lourdes could do it. I think that, Pavin and Lourdes together could do it. I just don't know if that's the route that the Diamondbacks want to go. I mean, you do open up a hole in the outfield that could allow you to maybe have, Alec Thomas, Jake McCarthy, Corbin Carroll out there, but I don't know, because I really haven't had a chance to see Lourdes play much first, how that would go.
Yeah.
I know that Lourdes has been actually a pretty good defensive left fielder. He just doesn't make things look the smoothest. You know what I mean? So by comparison, we're replacing the first baseman that absolutely makes defense look effortless with a guy that makes sometimes catching a fly ball look exciting. So I don't really know how well he would do over there. The Diamondbacks would know that. And we've heard them kind of open to a couple of different combinations. I think at the end of the day, Mike Hazen wants to go out there and get a first baseman to play first base. That's what I think the Diamondbacks want to do. I don't think that they're not open to this as a possibility. I just think that, unfortunately, at the end of the day, they need to replace a pretty big piece of their defensive puzzle if they lose Christian Walker.
Lourdes Gurriel is not an exceptional left fielder, I wouldn't say, but at least does make a fair point, which is that this would be moving a Gold Glove finalist out of his position, right? Yep. Lourdes Gurriel was a Gold Glove finalist in 2024 out in left field, and as we said at the time, like that does sort of speak to, in some ways, the lack of exceptional outfielders that wind up in left field, right? But I would be pretty surprised if the Diamondbacks explored this, just because, as we discussed earlier with the possibility of moving Gino Suarez to first base, this just isn't a team that likes to have guys kind of out of their natural position. Yeah. This team values defense so much. Even with Lourdes, like on paper, it makes more sense for Lourdes to be the Diamondbacks right fielder and for Corbin Carroll to be their left fielder, because he has the better arm, right?
Yeah.
Generally, you want your better arm in right field.
Point.
And that's another thing that the Diamondbacks were not willing to move Lourdes out of left field, because that's where he's comfortable and that's where he's played so many innings in his career. If you weren't willing to move Lourdes from left to right, I don't think you're going to be willing to move Lourdes from left to first base, unless you saw like a really golden opportunity. If you've got a chance to get a really good corner outfielder that you really like, maybe there's a world where this could work. But Lourdes has never been anything more than an emergency option for the team at first base. I'd be pretty surprised if the Diamondbacks wanted him to make that transition full time.
Brett makes a good point. He also says Jake also had a bit of trouble in center field at the end of the year, so I don't know if they truly are no fly zone like 2023.
I mean, I guess if Alec is back, then the no fly zone outfield that people are envisioning is probably Alec in center and then Jake moving to a corner. But then, you've got 3 left-handed hitting outfielders in the lineup theoretically every day. I'm sure they could, maybe they go out and find a platoon partner for Alec Thomas or something. But
and yeah. Like Elise says, you're not addressing the noodle arms. You're just putting all of them out there at the same time.
Yeah, that would be that would be rough. That would be rough for sure. I mean, yeah, the reason to do this would be if you feel it's easier for you to fill Lourdis's spot in left than it is to fill the your opening at first base. And I don't really think that's the situation. Some of these first base targets that we've discussed in trade and in free agency over the past few weeks, like, they're not breaking the bank, right? Like, Justin Turner's not breaking the bank. I think there are options that the team has at first base that are, going to be serviceable enough, whereas that opening in left field might actually be even harder to replace.
All right. Well, we'll have some more Mailbag Monday questions on the other side of this break. Please don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
There we are.
Hey. Well, of course, with Empire today, you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a price match guarantee. You've heard the name here in the Valley for years, and we know the holiday season is stressful. You got a lot of stuff going on. Maybe this carries over to the new year, but you can start 2025 off with some improvements in your home. And of course, flooring makes a big difference. And Empire today will save you time with quick, convenient, and easy appointments. They will get you in and out in no time. They will not have you back and forth to a store. They also won't waste your time with all sorts of samples. They will find a curated product selection that matches your needs. And of course, find you flooring, once again, that will look great in your homing with their virtual floor designer. It's a great way to see how the new floors will look in any space. All you have to do is snap a picture, and of course, it'll show you what those floors will look like. Of course, schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 discount when they use promo code PHNX. Restrictions do apply. See empiretoday.com/PHNX for details. And yes, Jesse and I will be out with our friend Archie Bradley out there at Wild Horse Pass, Gila River Resorts and Casinos this Wednesday, December 4th, for a live version of this show. Diehards, of course, like I said earlier, are free. Non-diehards, you are welcome as well. It's just $5. We will be doing a live version of Ask Archie, essentially, with one and only Archie Bradley. We have no idea what he's going to say. So it would be good to be there in person, because we can only control him so much on this show. But then, we might have to censor him. We might have to save him from himself at times, because Archie just tells everything. So make sure to not miss this. It's a great time. Come out, hang out with us. You can go to gophnx.com/events for more. Get your tickets and join us for a fun time. And I mean that. I love Archie.
It should be a lot of fun.
It should be a lot of fun. And of course, I'm not responsible for anything he tells you guys there.
Well, so. we're not recording this one for a reason, Derek. And Archie in recorded fashion is still very open and honest about the way he feels about things. Archie in a live event setting,
some adult
not
beverages,
recorded.
I don't know.
It's gonna be a good time.
It's gonna be a good time. All right. Well, of course, Mailbag Monday is always a good time. We got some more questions. What do we got, Kev?
Yes, we do. And first of all, if you don't go to that Ask Archie thing, it's not very oosy of you, Oos. I'm just gonna say that now.
There we go. I love it.
Question number 4 comes from our guy Brett, and he wants to know, if you were a Freaky Friday body swap with Mike Hazen for 24 hours, what moves would you make to the roster? Trade, signing, cutting anyone. What's one move that would be wild/unlikely that you'd make, and what's one move that would be more realistic?
I just like the idea of me and Mike Hazen being in the same place at the same time, and both of us being like, I don't want to have my life. And he could be like, I want to have my life. And then we swap bodies. That would be pretty amazing. But I don't know. I mean, I think, first of all, that would be a fun 24 hours, because I'm going to spend a lot of Ken Kendrick's money. That's what I'm going to do in that 24 hours, Jesse.
You only get one move here, though, Derek.
Yeah. Well, he said one move that's reasonable and one move that's not. Yeah. And I'm going to blow everybody's mind with the reasonable move, because I'm going to bring back Paul Goldschmidt, Jesse.
Okay.
I'm going to bring back Paul Goldschmidt, and I'm going to have him play first base. I'm going to have him do it for the vibes. I'm going to have him do it because I still think he's got something left in the tank. And I'm going to do it for the fans, not for me, because you guys know my feelings on him. I'm doing it for you. I'm going to let you guys build that statue. I'm not going to say a word about it. So that's what I'm going to do for you guys. I might even find a place for the statue to be built just for future statue building purposes. We'll get that area of land marked off. That's my holiday gift to you guys. An unreasonable move is that I am going to trade Jordan Montgomery to Oh man, who are we trading Jordan Montgomery to, Jesse? Give me somebody unreasonable that we're giving Montgomery to. We need a closer.
Shane's calling for the Mariners from the other office.
And Andres Munoz, straight up. Done?
Sure.
Shane says deal done.
There it is. There it is. He said it. He accepted it. Jordan Montgomery to the Mariners for Andres Munoz. There we go. He's giving us Harry Ford in the deal too. This is getting crazy. I'll take it all. Give it to me.
Jesse, do I need to make a mock trade for this, or?
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, if you could get some graphics cooking on these, Kev. Yeah, clearly. The way that I interpreted like the unlikely move was that it was something that like the Diamondbacks were not likely to do, but was actually like a conceivable thing that could happen. No offense to your Jordan Montgomery for Andres Munoz and Harry Ford deal, Derek. Not sure Jerry DiPoto is going to be on board. Okay, I will start with my crazy. My unlikely move, and I am going to go out on a limb, Derek.
This is crazy.
And we are going to sign Corbin Burns.
Yes,
to the Arizona Diamondbacks.
We need 7 starting pitchers. Yes, I love it. Fire me up, Jesse.
In a separate move, we're probably dealing Jordan Montgomery. Maybe we're moving another starter as well.
All right.
But I guess there are 2 different routes that you could go with this, and I like the idea of signing Burns in either of them. One is that you hold on to Zach Gallen, and you, for just one season, you're probably planning on letting Gallen walk next offseason, because having Burns and Gallen on massive contracts at the same time seems unlikely.
Yep.
But you get like one season where you have both Zach Gallen and Corbin Burns in your rotation. We've talked a lot about how big of a year 2025 is for this team, with Gallen hitting free agency, with Merrill hitting free agency. Like, go get your next top of the rotation starter, but do it a year early.
Yeah.
So that you get all of these guys at once and see what happens.
I like that.
The other route.
Wait, how much money are we deferring? Can we defer a lot of money on that one?
Sure. Yeah. We could defer as much money as you want, Derek.
Corbin Burns getting $1.5 million a year, and then the rest will be put off until 2077.
The other route, within this situation, is the Diamondbacks trade Zach Gallen this offseason. And they basically do a swap. They try to get something significant for Gallen, which I think they could.
Yeah.
And they sort of just replace him in the rotation with Corbin Burns. Granted, either of these scenarios are going to involve the Diamondbacks probably pushing payroll above sort of what I expect them to in 2025. So this is why I'm not really expecting this to happen. But I think that would be a good, like, the Diamondbacks would be a good team. You could see a route to this team being very, very good in either of those different ways.
Riley's throwing in his soul. He said, I would actually sell my soul if we get Corbin Burns. So that's also part of the deal. We're giving Corbin your soul. I don't know what he's going to do with it, but I appreciate at least I like the idea of him having jars of souls in his basement somewhere. All right. What else we got, Kev?
Well, I guess I have to give
I thought that was 2, because one was reasonable and one wasn't. But what else you got?
I mean, I think both of those are kind of unreasonable.
Okay.
So my realistic one, this is a little bit boring, but we discussed it earlier. Just re-sign Joc Pederson. Just sort of lock in your DH situation. Maybe you find another platoon guy. Maybe it's bringing back Randall Grichuk. Maybe it's an Austin Hayes. Maybe, there's some other guys out there that could fill that role. But getting that locked down early in the offseason, I think, would kind of help frame everything else that you have to do. So I'm a fan on paper of what that would do for this team.
Oh, that's that would be more like my move, because when I did that as Mike Hazen, I would also show up in a pink hoodie and a hoverboard. Like I would just match Joc's freaky energy, and I would come with it, like, to the signing of Joc Pederson. I would drive my Cybertruck there, and then get out and ride my hoverboard up to the table. And yeah, it would be a good time. We'd go eat Whataburger afterwards. We'd have fun. All right, what else we got, Kev?
All right, next question comes from the Rickety Bridge, who wants to know, I have a question. What's an ex-WOBA? It sounds like it should be in a fantasy novel, but I bet it's some sort of fancy stat. I added the word fancy because this is baseball.
Yeah, and that's our guy Rickety Bridge, who I love Rickety Bridge now more than I don't want to say the rest of you. I just love the fact that he's new to baseball, and he's so open to not knowing things about baseball, and I appreciate that. I
because
think,
every baseball fan knows what ex-WOBA is.
exactly,
all right?
Jesse. Yeah, I talk about ex-WOBA all the time. So no, go ahead and explain to him what ex-WOBA is, because I don't know.
So to understand ex-WOBA, we have to start by understanding its cousin, its little brother, if you will, WOBA.
No,
All
we're
right.
done. We are done. Kevin, back to a 2-shot. We're not starting there. We're not starting with like this is we got a rap soon.
I wanted to start with just like the meaning of life, Derek, and then work my way
I knew you were gonna be
I
like
skipped a lot of steps. All right.
Upon creation, like that kind of thing. No, Jesse.
Real quick. I can make this quick. So WOBA is basically, it reads like an on-base percentage, and it basically it's the same idea as on-base percentage, but it assigns values to different types of hits according to the amount of value that they actually have. So like a double, it counts for more than a single. A triple counts for more than a single, right? A home run, all of those things. So that's the idea of WOBA. It's similar to on-base percentage, but it's like an adjusted version of it. Ex-WOBA is the exact same thing, but based on the expected stats. So this factors in exit velocities and launch angles rather than real outcomes. And so that is what WOBA is, and that is how ex-WOBA is different from WOBA. And Derek has officially fallen asleep. So we nailed it.
Okay, let's go. All right. Well, everybody wants us to start cursing now that it's 2:00, but that's just the time to remind our TV viewers that if you want to keep watching Jesse talk about ex-WOBA, that's up to you. Come on over to gophnx.com and join the fun. We will keep the party going over there, and we thank you guys so much, of course, for joining us. To the rest of you monsters, we got more questions
Riley
to
wants
answer.
me to explain ex-WOBA.
No, you do not, Riley. That's not what we're going to do. You can do that another day. What do you got, Kev?
Why is that ex-WOBACon and not ex-WOBACON?
Don't even get me started.
It can be. It has.
One is fun and one is like
ex-WOBACON.
I feel like I'm going to algebra class.
Yeah,
you know,
WOBACON.
I definitely.
WOBACON is like a new
Star
form
Wars
of
event.
It's a Jeep.
Yeah,
you know,
okay, that's a good one.
The 2025 Jeep WOBACON. You know. Anyway,
I like that better. That's
what we're calling it from now on. What else we got? Let's answer some more questions.
Yeah. All right. So next question, it comes from Angela, who wants to know what about the Dbacks is the PHNX Dbacks crew most looking forward to this next season?
Not playing the Dodgers, that's for sure. I'll start off by saying I think I am looking forward to next season being a year that the Diamondbacks are not rebuilding or just trying or whatever. I do think that especially if Jordan Montgomery is still on this team, there's a lot of guys that have everything in the world to play for next year. And I think this team is going to be all in. So I'm excited about next year. I think that this is going to be a competitive team in 2025. I think that they definitely had a lot of things go their way in 2023. And that they didn't expect. And I think they had a lot of things not go their way in 2024 that they didn't expect. So I think that they've had some, some learning experiences here. And I think that they're going to be better for it in 2025. I don't think they're going to take any single win for granted, considering how close they came and how short they came essentially. But yeah, I think that this is going to be an exciting year just to watch this team come back out with a healthy starting rotation and see what these guys can do in a contract year.
I was just going to say just the fact that I think the team will be relevant no matter what happens, right? Like if the Diamondbacks come out next year and are destined for the playoffs or appear to be destined for the playoffs early on in the season, if things are really coming together for them, obviously it has the potential to be a really big year for this franchise. And if things go south in 2025, as much as people might not be so happy with me bringing up that possibility, the trade deadline would become very, very interesting for this team.
That's
with
so
Zach
true.
Gallen, with Merrill Kelly, potentially some other guys that they bring in on one-year deals hitting free agency. So that's something we talked about with this season too, where if the Diamondbacks had chosen to sell in 2024, they also could have done pretty well for themselves. Yeah. I think the same would be true next year. And as much as that would be unfortunate for the team in the moment, in the long term, it actually could pay some big dividends to actually be able to cash in on some of those guys.
That's very, very true. All right, what else we got, Kev?
Yeah. So next question is actually going to come from Jacob Schultz, who wants to know, should we normalize planting the flag for baseball? The Dodgers jumped in our pool. I want to plant the Dbacks flag on their mound if we win a series.
Yes. The answer is yes. And I think planting a flag at any time in any sport is fine. It is a flag. It is sport. If you don't like it, don't lose. Losers. That's what I have to say. Same thing to the Phillies. Same thing to what happened in the Territorial Cup. Same thing to those losers from Ohio State. If you don't like it, don't let the enemy win a big game like that on your home turf. And I would say the same thing about the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers came here, they clinched the division, and they went and celebrated in the Diamondbacks pool. And man, people will never forget it. They'll never forget it. Both Dodgers fans will never forget it. Diamondbacks fans will never forget it. It's an act of disrespect so high with the act itself is quite innocent, actually. It's just the idea of it is so disrespectful that, I mean, this is what rivalries are based on. I don't fault in the case of football, the guys going out there and defending and being like starting to fight and stuff. I don't know. This is sport. This is what it is. But to his point, yes. And I want it to be Alek Thomas all the time, whether he's on the team, whether he's off the team. I want a retired Alek Thomas when he's 50 to run out of nowhere at one point when the Diamondbacks clinch against the Dodgers and just plant a flag right in the middle of the pitcher's mound.
I do like the idea of every team having a designated flag planter.
Yes.
Like, I think that's a fun addition to the sport. I also think that, if we're going to do it for any series win on the road during the season, why don't we just do it for every win, right? Like, in baseball, 162 games, a single individual win. A lot of people sort of dismiss the value of that because there's so many games, and it's like, all right, what does one game really mean? But if there was like a flag planting ceremony of sorts that happened after every single win on the road, that would be like that would be a pretty big deal. So there you go, Derek. Major League Baseball should hire us to be part of their committee of people coming up with all the great ideas.
Do you want less fights? We're gonna make more fights. We're gonna make this more fun. All right, what do you got?
Real quick, I mean, you guys pretty much lobbed it up for me. Who would you guys pick as the Diamondbacks designated flag planter for the upcoming season?
I mean, if it's not Alek Thomas.
Yeah, if it's not Alek,
okay,
if he's not on the
Alek
roster,
Thomas
if he's
is
not on
the
majors,
obvious choice. Oh, that's a good question. Kevin Ginkel?
Sure.
Could you imagine Kevin Ginkel running just full speed, screaming the whole way, with the flag? Right? No one's going to get in his way. He's a large man. They're not going to dare stop him. And he just plants it and then comes off with that energy that he does after he strikes out the side of the seventh inning with two runners on in a inherited runner situation. I'm pumped just talking about it.
Dre Jameson. I don't know.
You know how to put fire in my blood, Jesse. Of course it's Dre Jameson.
I knew you'd like that.
What else we got, Kev?
Yeah. All right. Andy wants to know, what is everyone's favorite ballpark food?
I love this question because it's just, I don't know if we've ever answered it, and we've done this show for a very long time.
I don't know.
Lots of mailbags. What's that?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't think we've ever just been asked what's our favorite ballpark food. I mean, especially at this place, right? At Chase Field. I mean, I guess we could break it down to like a simpler thing. I mean, hot dogs, glizzies. I can't get enough of a hot dog at a baseball game. I think it's because there are times where no matter what, I am just in the spirit of the moment to eat the most whatever food that is for that instance, whether it's a holiday or at a place. I usually tend to ask the dumb question of like, what do you guys make? What's your specialty? Like, what do you guys do well at any restaurant I sit at? I mean, it has to be a special hot dog, though. I don't think it's just some plain hot dog. Every stadium has an amazing hot dog covered in toppings. And the Diamondbacks are no different. They're Sonoran dog. Prior to them using the pork belly bacon on top was the perfect Sonoran dog that you could imagine. And then they went with the harder, crispier bacon. It made it more difficult to eat, and all the toppings fell off. I don't like it. Go back to the hot dog wrapped in bacon. That's it. That's mine.
I think hot dogs are kind of overrated. Personally, I think there's a
I think
reason.
they're quite adequately rated. No one is saying a hot dog is like a high-end culinary experience.
You just rated it as your favorite
yes,
ballpark food item.
Yes, because it's I'm trying. Like I could go. You know, I love the pork belly nachos, Jesse.
I do.
You know that's my favorite thing ever. I went with like a standard item for Andy.
Sure. Yeah, I can't bring myself to go with a hot dog in any capacity. In terms of other like, I mean, I guess if we're going just standard items, like nachos are also a standard ballpark item.
Sure.
Oh man.
See,
am I allowed to say my real answer is the crispy bao buns that they once had at Chase Field that they no longer have
pork belly
anymore,
nachos? I'm telling you.
which was sort of devastating to me. That was sort of my go-to at the ballpark.
Elise does bring up one of the finest meals I've ever had, which was just walking around Oracle Park with garlic fries. And the seagulls will eat them out of your hand, by the way. They do not play games.
Really?
Those birds are vicious. They are vicious. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I think I do think that Chase Field has a lot of good food. So there's a lot of items over the years. If I'm being completely perfectly honest, the thing that was my favorite was getting free ice cream in the press box.
Yeah. You refuse to stop talking about that.
Because it was like living in the best of times. Can you imagine there just being a little magical refrigerator that just gets filled with Cold Stone Creamery ice creams, and then when you eat them, they just fill it back up with more? It was a magical time in my life that will never be replicated ever by any kind of happiness at any point by anybody ever. That's
Max is not going to be very happy with you after this show.
I think there's been 3 or 4 free ads for sure. What else we got, Kevin? Let's get us out of here before I get in trouble.
Yeah, I got you, Derek. Next question comes from Hanley, who wants to know, the theme is WWE night at Chase Field. Derek, you are tasked with planning the event. What can fans look forward to seeing at the ballpark?
Oh my God, they can look forward to a lot of things. They could look forward, first of all, to seeing what is it, Metalingus perform Edge's theme song over and over and over again on repeat, right? All the fireworks, not just at the end of the game, not just at the beginning of the game, fireworks for every inning. Every time the Diamondbacks take the field, boom, fireworks. Every time a guy comes out to bat, boom, fireworks. That's right. You're getting 3 fireworks show at the top of the inning, fireworks show at the end of the bottom of you're getting fireworks show all game long. I would also, for the ladies, make all the Dbacks, play the game shirtless, right? At least maybe not shirtless. I'll bring back the gray or white vests from 2001, but no undershirt, just the vest, just the top part. And it's up to them if they want to leave it open or closed. I'm going to leave that to their discretion. Of course, everybody gets their theme music, but they have to pick WWE songs, except Jake McCarthy, who has to pick another song other than Kurt Angle's song. Because I still can't help but shout, "You suck" at Jake McCarthy. And I don't mean that when I do that. I mean that, obviously in a loving way. All umpires have to dress like referees. They also have to do a 3 count at each base when a guy comes in. 1, 2, oh no, just two. We got just 2 over here. And yeah, I mean, obviously it would go like a wrestling card would. So it would progress to eventually a main event where the closing pitcher for the Diamondbacks, whoever that may be, would just have to fight the 3-hole hitter in a no holds bar match right there in the middle of the infield.
What's a 3-second count?
A 3-second. Jesse, it's where, you pin. They pin them. That's how you win a match. You lay down on top of the other guy after knocking them out or subduing them in some way, and the referee counts 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Yeah. So
in order to be considered safe at a base, you would have to. You just have to kind of chill there. For a few
exactly.
seconds.
Yeah. So you have to get there, and you have to make sure that. Yeah, right. Like maybe I don't know. Like maybe there would need to be a kick out in there some way, somehow a kick out. I don't know. We still haven't perfected this.
What happens when you have like several guys scoring in quick succession, but like the first guy can't leave until 3 seconds have passed?
Yeah,
so
you're
home
good,
plate
right.
is suddenly a very crowded place because there's 3 people there at the same
You
time.
bring up a great point, because that's actually when the rumble would take place, right? So at that point, you would have a base and 3 guys stepping on it, and then those guys would have to throw the other two guys off, and whoever sits, I guess whoever is still on base when all is said and done, gets a title shot at the end of the night, or like at WrestleMania. I don't know. What are we doing, Kev?
Yeah, I just have I have 3 notes for your planning of the event.
Sure.
Right? First, we need to substitute. I love our announcers. We need to substitute them with Michael Cole and Jim Ross.
Yes.
Every home run needs to be a slobber knocker.
Yes.
For sure.
Okay.
Undebatable.
Yeah.
The winner, the closing pitcher that comes in and gets a save, has to turn around and point to center field.
The sign.
Where
point
there will
the
be
sign.
a WrestleMania sign.
Yeah.
Shout
Point
out
to the
our
WrestleMania
guy
sign.
Ryan in the chat that brought that up.
Yep.
Third, all pinch runners have to tag in and out.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Well, this is better than an actual baseball game, I think, now.
Did we just fix baseball?
Yeah, I think we did. And yes, Cam, we can use a chair instead of a bat to hit the ball.
No,
or
it's
kendo
the
sticks.
the bamboo.
Kendo sticks, too. We can use kendo sticks. Oh, it'll be great. All right, what else we got, Kev? I need a question that Jesse can actually understand what we're talking about.
All right, next question is going to come from Bread Bowl.
Never mind.
who's going to ask you to
You knew
recast
exactly
the
what you were
Christmas story
doing
with
when
the
you said
Dbacks?
that.
I guess. Maybe I did. Jesse, before the show started, asked me, what's a Christmas story? And then when we all laughed and mocked him, because how do you avoid seeing a Christmas story? Like, if you have a TV and you've had it on during the month of December, there's no way a Christmas story hasn't come across your television at some point. Then he also asked, is it that famous of a movie? That's Jesse Friedman, ladies and gentlemen. That's him in a nutshell. So
I feel like none of these things should have been surprising to you.
Yeah, no, I know, but it's just that I have to take over the duties, and I mean, I take this very seriously, just like the wrestling thing. I had to really think about this. Now, of course, Ralphie is the star of the movie. He's a young boy, and he wants the only thing he wants for Christmas is a Red Ryder BB gun, Jesse. And the reason why he's not allowed to have one, as you may understand, is a BB gun's very dangerous.
Yes.
He'll shoot his eye out, as his mother tells him, right? So in this case, Ralphie is Corbin Carroll, right? And the Red Ryder BB gun is the 2023 Rookie of the Year award. Which eventually they both obtained, right? The old man, aka his father, would be Tori. That makes all the sense in the world. His younger brother, Randy, Gabby Moreno, of course. I also thought in this case, maybe Lourdes should be Ralphie. I was conflicted just based on Gabby being the younger brother, but it doesn't matter who plays Ralphie. Gabby is definitely playing Randy. As far as Scott Farkas is concerned, it is absolutely Dre Jameson. And do not tell me that Dre Jameson does not look like the kind of person that didn't wear a raccoon cap like that when he was a small boy. Flick, of course, would be Jake McCarthy. That's the kid that got his tongue stuck to the pole. The one that antagonized him into doing so is Schwartz. He would be played by Joc Pederson. I think you get the connection there between those two. Christmas Tree Man is Jordan Montgomery. Explains itself. The leg lamp would be played by Merrill Kelly because he's fragile. It's Italian. And then Miss Shields, for those of you that are media members, I guess, would be Peggy from the Dbacks Press Lounge Kitchen. But that's an inside joke that I'm sure a lot of people aren't going to get. So there you go. There's your cast of the Christmas Story. Jesse, any thoughts? Any changes you want to make?
I just think it's funny that Ryan said in the chat, bring back Jesse watches movies everyone has seen and gives his review.
Yeah, we had a special segment called Jesse Hasn't Seen It. I think I'm going to task him with watching A Christmas Story and coming back with a book report on it, because we definitely need to make that happen.
It does have 89% on Rotten Tomatoes, so that eclipses the necessary threshold.
I don't care about reviews. I don't care anything else. It is just amazing to me. And I mean, yes, I should not be surprised. I should not be surprised.
No, you
yet
shouldn't.
I am very much surprised here that you've never even heard of A Christmas Story. Wild.
I think I'd heard of it, but hearing of it and watching it are two different things.
I'm going to make him watch it. I'm going to make him watch it. I'm going to make him come back with a report on it for you guys. But of course, we thank you guys so much. We know Mailbag Monday wouldn't be the same without you guys. This show wouldn't be the same without you guys. So we appreciate you so much. You can follow us on Twitter. I am at @cap_caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Make sure to tweet him and shame him about never even knowing what A Christmas Story is. Our guy, Large Intimate Kevin Thomas, is at Kev Posts. Kevo
Kevo
Posts.
Yeah,
Is that
Jesse
it?
got it. Jesse got it. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we're getting there. We'll get there eventually. But of course, our show is at PHNX_Dbacks, and all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys so much for your time. We will see you tomorrow with another 1 p.m. episode. And then hopefully we will see so many of you on Wednesday for our live edition of this show out there at Wild Horse Pass with the one and only Archie Bradley. Of course, until then, we hope you guys all have a wonderful evening. We hope you behave yourselves. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you think about Corbin Carroll wearing that pink bunny suit.
We all silly like the mayor.